Hi, I wanted to welcome you to the Divorce Planning Podcast. I'm Carri Goldring, and I'm in the mortgage business, and I do planning pre-divorce for people who are either going to refinance their home, do an equity buyout, or plan to purchase a new home and make sure that everything in the divorce decree is worded properly and the numbers in the planning is taken care of so that you can go through the underwriting process smoothly. And I would like to introduce you to other people who are interested in the divorce planning process so you can get a real education of what's involved. Hope you enjoy.
I want to welcome Katie to be a part of the podcast. It's so great to have you. Katie is a past client of mine who I have now been able to help twice with mortgages, and I wanted to welcome you.
Thank you for having me.
Of course. So tell me, how did it start where you were introduced to me?
My divorce lawyer referred me to you and kind of in the middle of our divorce process.
Did you think to yourself, like, a certified divorce professional? I never heard of that, or why do I need to talk to someone specific? Or were you like all on board?
I had never heard of it before, but it made a lot of sense to me because I was a single mom going through divorce and didn't have my own income. So I didn't know how the heck I was going to be able to, be able to move out and get my own house and after the process was done.
And I think that's such an important thing to touch on because I believe that probably happens with a lot of stay-home parents. And I believe there's many spouses that they're leaving that say there's no way you could get a mortgage, you don't work. I would think that's a common thing to hear. So let's talk about that a little bit more. Were people telling you that there's no way that you could get a mortgage? Or
my ex-husband was kind of trying to scare me into staying in some ways with the financial aspect. I mean, we were in a unique position where we had a second home as a vacation home. So knowing that that would likely sell, that would give me some equity to put into my own home. I never really had a doubt about being able to find my own place, but being able to be qualified for a mortgage was more of my concern. Like I said before, I didn't have my own active income.
Right. And how are you doing with everything now? You're restructuring, you feel like, wow, there was a light at the end of a tunnel?
Yeah, definitely. It was a really hard process, but I am so happy now where I am, being able to have my own home. I have 3 kids, 2 teenagers and 1 in elementary school. So having their own rooms was important to me. So being able to find the house in my budget and that accommodated my family was super important. And it all worked out. The right house at the right time, the right price. It all came together, and I was very happy. And
I'm so glad.
yeah.
It's so hard too, right? When you're going through that process and things are so tough, you're like, I don't know if this is going to get better, right? It's like such a hard, like one foot in front of the other is kind of the way that it goes. And then when you get to look back, you're like, wow, I get it now. Like it all makes sense to put me where I am.
Right, for sure.
But it's a hard process. So tell the listeners, is there anything that you learned or that you went through that you think would have been good advice to tell yourself, knowing what you know now?
That we can be creative. In order for me to qualify for a mortgage without co-signers, without anything, we were able to establish a trust, which is something I never would have thought of. But with the settlement money, I was able to put my money in a trust and that give myself an income from that. And that allowed me to qualify for a mortgage. And, I went from like buying a cheap house that would be a fixer upper, just cash, so I didn't have a mortgage payment, to like, oh, like I can do a house that's nicer that I can move in and be more comfortable and afford a mortgage, and unfortunately my mortgage went up recently. We did a refinance so I could get some cash out because I put a lot of money into the house to keep my mortgage payment down, but then over time that didn't work out. So was able to pull some of the equity out so I could, keep myself afloat while I go back to school. So still in the process of finding my new career trajectory here.
It's awesome though, but you gave yourself some time,
Yeah.
which is important, right? So at
Yeah.
least I think the worst thing of going back to school or starting something new or figuring out how to be out of the house, when you're used to being in the home,
Hmm.
money really
Yeah,
really can put a damper on things if you have to worry about how you're paying your bills, right? So being
for
able
sure.
to give you some short-term relief
Yeah.
and get you into a plan, and now you'll have an
Hmm.
idea of what your budget is and how much money you need to spend
Right.
and be able to figure out how much you need to earn. And
Hmm.
yeah, it's kind of nice to have that target that
Yeah.
you need to shoot for, and
Yeah.
to be aware that, as you said, you can always be creative, right? If you have to
Hmm.
be, because
Yeah.
there's not always one answer like people think.
Right. Yeah, I'm just over 2 years post-divorce and just started going back to school this fall. And, having that buffer time for my kids and myself was really important because I didn't want them going into shock of like, okay, mom's and dad are divorced, mom's moved out, and now she's working full time and I never see her. Like I wanted to have that transition period for them. And my youngest, though, when I told him I was going back to school, he's like, I don't want you to work. But
Aww.
um but
But you'll be
I
such an
told,
inspiration for him watching you
yeah,
study
yeah,
and to be devoted to something. And I
yeah,
think one of the best things that I did for my kids after my divorce was to like pull up your bootstraps,
yeah.
and
Hmm.
tackle whatever needed to be tackled. And I think that
Yeah,
that made them better adults because they
for
saw
sure.
what a tough time is that a lot of other
Hmm.
people don't get to see. And
Yeah.
they get to see that, what, you can weather a storm and
Hmm.
come out okay in the end. And I think that's
Yeah.
a very important lesson.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I think he's on board now because he's learned that it doesn't interfere a whole lot yet with his life. But yeah, I mean the career path I've chosen, I'm going for sign language interpretation, and it
Fabulous.
yeah, so it will be I can do like contract work, so I can kind of decide my schedule. So which again I did with my kids in mind. So,
That's awesome. And a lot of people, right? A lot of people
mhm.
pick careers before Zoom was a thing or work from
Yeah.
home was a thing. So you have a nice opportunity that you get to do it post all that stuff being
Mhm.
normal.
Right.
And it
Yeah.
makes being a single parent so much easier.
Yeah. Yeah, I can't imagine. Yeah, I mean 2020 was really hard, but it did bring out some, opportunities to find workarounds and, cater to people, being able to stay home and with their kids and things like that.
Right. It's true. I remember when I was divorced, I would leave in the morning, have to drop the kids off at daycare,
Mhm.
cry my eyes out on the way to work, go to work. Then when they were really little, I would leave at like noon, go pick them
Mhm.
up from nursery, drop them
Yeah.
off at daycare, go back to
Yeah.
work. And then, pickup was like at 6. Like if you didn't pick your kids up at 6, like the daycare lady was taking them on her errands or whatever she needed to do.
Yeah.
And you just had to
Okay.
go find her somewhere, like, oh, she's at the grocery store with your children or whatever she
Wow.
was doing. So it was so important to be there on time or you're
Yeah.
chasing them. But it's like, God, if I could have just worked from home, even if I had to take them to daycare and back and it would
Yeah.
be close to the house, it would have been so nice.
Yeah. I can imagine.
Big difference. But, so I
Hmm.
think the bottom line is you just do what you do, and then in the end you find out it was all for a reason that ends up being better than before.
Yeah, I thought I had the ideal life, but like being separated from it for a while, I realized the things that weren't so ideal and the things I tolerated that maybe I shouldn't have. And so um, being divorced and finding my new path, like in strengthening my kids and helping them find their path, like, and helping them know that, like, even though things aren't what we planned, like, our futures can change trajectory and it can still be good.
That's
And
awesome. That's a great thing, I think, for people to hear, and it's true. Even, at a job or in a marriage or whatever, like I think you put up with what you have to put up with, right? Because we all have to survive.
Right.
And then you get yourself removed and you're like, holy crap, what did I do?
Right. Yeah.
Right. And the longer it is, the longer you get sucked in, right?
Yeah.
It becomes your normal. You don't know any different.
Right.
I remember one of the first jobs that I quit, and then I'm like, oh my God, there's a whole life out here besides telling me.
Yeah.
So it's true. Any other last minute things that you think would be helpful?
Well, I think having a mortgage broker that has gone through divorce and is sensitive to all the nuances of that was very helpful for me to, like, see the light on the other side, to know that there's hope and that there's, work that can be done, and it's, that it's not all loss.
It's definitely not all lost.
Yeah.
That's for sure. And sometimes changes just change, and
Yeah.
sometimes change is really awesome, right?
For sure.
That's good. Well, I appreciate you so much letting me take care of you when you needed to be taken care of. And I feel like we developed such a nice relationship that will, in some way, shape, or form, at least be in touch for a long time. And if there's ever anything that you think I can be a resource to help you, being years ahead of you,
Right.
I would love to be that resource for you.
I appreciate that. And yeah, definitely appreciate all the help that you've given me.
Thank you for doing this. I appreciate it so much.
You're welcome.
I hope you enjoyed the podcast. I'm Carri Goldring, and if you ever have any questions regarding mortgage, feel free to give me a call or send me a text message, 248-420-4524. Hope you enjoy the rest of your day.